Many of you have been asking me, hey Dan, but what can we use as weakness in a job interview? And I do agree with you that oftentimes this is a very delicate equation, but I believe that also by giving you some examples, I'm gonna hopefully make your life easier deciding what's best to use in your case. And this would be the obvious warning sign before getting into the examples, that you should only use what relates to you in the first place. And I would also recommend you to prepare at least 2 of these, just in case your first option isn't convincing enough. The first weakness is sales experience, and who would be using this type of weakness in a job interview? Well, it's especially targeted for more technical people where sales is not a core competency required for the job, and you'd also want to be careful on how you pitch it in a sense that, hey, I do enjoy pitching my ideas to management and I do enjoy pitching my ideas to my co-workers. However, sales is something I haven't been working on formally, so I don't have formal experience in sales. The next one is the opposite of sales, that is technical experience, and you would want to use it for sales roles, for example, where you would want to, of course, pitch it carefully, such as, maybe my technical expertise is not the best. However, whenever I encounter such a scenario, I always call in my team of specialists to find the best outcome. Next one is being too direct. And you'd want to be somewhat careful about this one. Like maybe you want to show this level of assertiveness as a one-off experience from which you took your learnings, and now you are extra careful about these things. Introversion. This is a very commonly used one, especially for people coming from the financial sector. It's a very strong one, as of course, so long as you know how to pitch it correctly. Obviously, introversion is something you cannot really cure, but you can be aware of. So, for example, when you're in a social setting, you'd know that you have to spend some extra brain cycles to start a conversation, for example. Public speaking, too many people use this one, but if you do choose to use it, I would pitch it in a context of I feel very comfortable speaking to my own team or to my managers. However, speaking to large crowds of unknown people is something I still can improve on. Next, working in large companies. Like if you've only worked in startups, then working in large companies could be interpreted as a weakness. And similarly, if you've only worked in large corporations, working in small companies could be interpreted and could be used as a pretty efficient weakness. Being stubborn. I'd be careful about using this one. I probably use this only for more senior roles. Being unassertive. In the sense, being passive. Again, I would be very careful with these weaknesses. I obviously not use it except if for a more senior role, such as product manager, where the main thing is not that you have to be involved, you have to be all over the place all the time, you have to be a people person. Next, being too negative. And if you've been following my YouTube channel, you'll know that I often advise people to be very careful with being overly negative in job interviews. However, you could pitch this as a weakness in a job interview in a way that you recognize that sometimes you are too negative and you want to improve on this one. For senior roles, I would say. Not focused enough on details. Again, this one to me is one for visionaries, for roles that require you to be a visionary and not someone that has to pay attention to details here. Overconfident. This is one that I would accept also for more junior roles. I would pick carefully my examples, but yes, I think this is also a safe bet. A micromanager. This is obviously for manager level roles. And of course, you'd want to pitch it carefully and not to talk about your last experience, last project where you micromanage your team and that's why you got fired and now you're applying for a new job. Distracted easily. This is again for more senior types of roles. I never use this in a junior role. Same with the next one, too blunt. This again is something that you would, for people that know what they're doing here. Does not take feedback well. Again, one for the visionaries, for product managers. Has difficulty admitting to failure. I would probably use this one also for sales roles, if this is the case, if this is genuinely the case. Intimidating. This is, in my opinion, for very senior types of manager level or even director level roles, because you'd want to be very careful on how you pitch this and to ensure that you have the necessary expertise to afford such type of weakness. Impatient, this one is for manager level roles. I would say it's regardless of whether if it's a senior or just an entry-level management role, but so it looks to me like impatience is a pretty universal one. Makes assumptions. So this would be again for the visionaries, so not for people persons, so not for roles that require to be a people person, in my opinion. Unrealistic expectations. This is for super senior management roles where you could afford talking about setting up unrealistic expectations. Lack of confidence. Here probably this one is more universal, so I could recommend it to basically any type of role, in my opinion. Short attention span. I'd never use this one for an entry-level software development engineer, for example. Vague at times. So this is another safe one in my opinion. You must just think of a particular scenario that would make sense and would make them understand that you are active in recovering from this one. Overanalyzes. Many junior roles tend to say this, and I would say it's overly used in my opinion. In my opinion, you should be very careful with the example that you want to choose here. Shy. So it's a pretty general one, although I wouldn't use it as my first weakness. I would probably use this as my second option. Cannot multitask. This one is again for the visionaries, for product managers, in my opinion, because you cannot really say this going into an entry-level role, in my opinion. Doesn't ask for help. I would again be very careful with this one. I would only use it for more senior roles, although I know many junior roles tend to be using this one, and probably it's fine to a certain extent. Just don't exaggerate on it too much. Be careful with the example that you choose. Procrastinates. This one is for senior roles where you can, to a certain extent, afford to talk about these things. And finally, being indecisive. And here, yes, I believe it could work for many types of roles, from junior to senior roles. You'd have to carefully pick your example. So there you go. I hope you found this interesting, and thank you for watching.